Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video looking at Neo-Marxist theories of crime and deviance, examining the work of Taylor, Walton and Young. Inspired by traditional Marxist ideas of structural inequality and the ways in which crime and criminals were perceived put forward by labelling theory, Taylor, Walton and Young proposed a new criminology in the 1970s to explain criminality in contemporary society. While they argued that social structures and social institutions shaped deviant behaviours displayed by individuals, they also suggested that those deviating showed agency in their actions, assigning meaning to their crimes and interpreting the reactions of others. Like many interactionist theories, the new criminology saw criminals as victims of society and the social stigmas that were attached to deviant behaviours. They also suggested that criminals were acting as a form of active resistance against the unequal structure of society brought about by capitalism. This fits in with some of the ideas of humanistic Marxism put forward by Gramsci. By combining interactionist and Marxist approaches together, Taylor, Walton and Young developed the concept of a fully social theory of crime and deviance. This incorporated elements of both traditional Marxism and labelling theory to create a more holistic approach to researching crime and deviance. It focused more on the interpretations of individuals to the act of crime, seeing the individual's choice to commit crime as being influenced both by their own agency and by the structural forces, such as the perceptions of police, media, and the society that they were part of. Fully social theory attempted to examine a range of factors in order to assess the individual's motivations for criminal and deviant behaviour. There were 6 factors they considered when looking at criminal and deviant behaviour, beginning with the wider origins of the deviant act, the immediate origins of the deviant act, the meaning of the actual act of deviance, the immediate origins of social reaction, and the wider origins of social reaction. And finally, they examined the impact of social reactions on the individual's future behaviour. Now, these concepts were seen in their totality, which makes fully social theory quite comprehensive. But we need to examine these concepts in a little more detail in order to understand how fully social theory worked. Firstly, the wider origins of the deviant act. By this, Taylor et al. Were referring to the power structures that existed in society, how equal society was, and whether this was a motivation for deviant behaviour. If we take somebody from the lower social classes, society's unequal structure will impact on their ability to have the goods or status that others have, and this may influence their decision to deviate. The second factor to consider is the immediate origins of the act. Now, this refers to the particular circumstances that have led to the crime. Using our example of someone in the lower social classes, this could be the loss of a job. It could be frustration at being passed over for promotion or being excluded for having a lower status. This will be the individual's motivation to deviate. The third factor is the act itself. What was the purpose of the act? Was the individual stealing in order to feed their family? Did they assault somebody who had insulted them? And a fourth factor, the immediate origins of social reaction. How did those closest to the deviant react? How did the individual's friends and family react to the act of deviance? Were they sympathetic to the individual's plight? Or were they ostracised by their family for acting in a deviant manner? This can link into a fifth factor. How does the rest of society react? For some crimes, there may be a public outcry. The police may become the focus of media reactions. And if so, how will this impact on how the police and government react to similar crimes? A final consideration is the impact of this behaviour on the individual's future conduct. Will being labelled as a deviant impact on the person's future? Will it become a master status? And if so, how will that impact on further acts of deviance? For Taylor et al., all of these factors needed to be considered when analysing crime. And while fully social theory offered an extensive analysis of criminal behaviour, it has been criticised for being overly complex and potentially very highly subjective. However, in Policing the Crisis, Stuart Hall adopted fully social theory to explain the negative portrayals of black criminality in society, particularly during the crisis of hegemony in the 1970s. Others have suggested that fully social theory is too idealistic. Like labelling theory, it romanticizes criminality, suggesting that the criminal behaviours are an act of revenge against a society that has left the deviant behind. It sees crime as a political act of resistance against the ruling class, but it also fails to explain why most lower class crime is committed against others from the same backgrounds, rather than being targeted at the elites in society. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on Neo-Marxist theories of crime and deviance, examining the work of Taylor, Walton and Young's fully social theory. Thanks for watching.